Hey guys, Matt Bell here. Just had an opportunity to perform on a new tune by Vira Burmenko. It's actually an arrangement of John Lennon's Imagine, and she asked me to put a solo at the end of the tune, and I was super excited about the solo that I put on the end of that tune. So I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to hear what my process is for writing and recording a solo like that, and I thought maybe this could be helpful for you. So the first thing I want to do is let's just give a listen to that solo. I actually transcribed it. So let's pull up the music and then listen to what we've got here. All right, rock and roll. So, again, I was super honored to be asked to do this solo. Thank you so much, Vera, for letting me do what I do on that thing. So, first of all, I want to let you know that there are soloists out there, guys like Zach Brock, guys like Christian Howes, guys like Joe Denizon, that when they get a track like this and they're asked to put a solo on it, they can improv. If they're going to take 5 passes at it, they're going to have 5 incredible, amazing solos, at least as good as what you just heard from me, and probably better, okay? I'm not that guy, okay? I can improvise live, and I do all the time, but I'm probably not going to come up with that solo. Well, I know I'm not going to come up with that solo because I didn't, not on the first pass, okay? So I just want to let you know what my process is for writing and recording a solo like that. The first thing I do is, without writing down any of the chord changes, I just take a couple passes at it, okay? I'm just going to hear what I hear and feel what I feel, and I'm going to record all these passes, by the way. Logic Pro X allows me to record several takes on the same channel, and it shows me each one of those takes as a strip, and then I can go and cut and paste sections from each one of those, okay? So I'm going to take 3 or 4 passes of this solo and just sort of see what pops out of my head, okay? Then I'm going to go chart it, and I'm going to write out what the chord changes are. I'm hearing them, but if I see them in front, I'm a visual learner, so this is time spent inside my head. I know how it works. When I see the changes in front of me, I actually play a little different. So I'm going to do a couple passes without that, and then a couple passes where I'm seeing the changes and thinking about more explicitly what's coming. So then I'm going to take those 6 or 8 passes that I've done, and I'm going to go through and listen to each one of them, say, all right, this measure I like what I did on this pass, this measure I like what I did on this pass, and I'm going to come up with a composite solo that's sort of cut and pasted from all of those different places. And then I sort of go through and go, not happy with this, not happy with this, not happy with this. And then I'm going to, if I've got 7 or 8 measures that I wasn't super happy with, I'm going to go ahead and write something for those, okay? At this point, I've got basically something that at the end of it is going to be a hybrid of improv and some things that were a little more carefully thought out, okay? That's just my process, and I thought it might be helpful for you to understand a little bit of that, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to break this down. And I want to look at each section separately. Here is the transcribed part of the first of this. So let's listen. The first thing I did, it comes in F. The tune's in C. So it's coming into the 4 chord. And I thought, well, what note can I use to really get into this? Let's listen to the beginning just real quick. It's coming up and it sort of stops. Okay, so I want to say, all right, it stops. I've got a chance to say something. What do I want to say? I want to say, we're going to be a little bluesier than the first part of the song was. So a way to do that is to pick a note, and I picked E flat because it's the flat 7 of the F chord and it's the flat 3 of the 1 chord. This is a note that probably has not been played in the song yet. Okay? I don't know what the other people ahead of me are doing, but they're, as far as I understand, it's mostly they're tracking some vocal melody stuff. Okay? So I'm going to throw out something a little bluesier, a little more surprising. That note is not going to be one that's really going to jump out in the tune Imagine. Okay, so let's just start. Let's jump into this bluesy thing, and I'm going to grind my way into this because electric violin distortion, right? So then I've got the flat 7 walking down to the 5, and then let's just keep going. Let's keep this walk down thing going. It goes to G, so the next note in the G chord would be B natural. But we're sticking to the bluesy stuff. So let's go with the flat 3 of the G chord, which is the flat 7 in the key of C. So that note works a couple of different ways. And walk that down to the 1. Then we come to the C chord. I've already done a flat 7. I've done a flat 3. Now let's do a flat 5 right off the bat. Let's hit the 3 bluesiest notes that we're gonna hit right off the bat. Let's set the table here. I don't actually land on the F sharp. I actually land, and I would actually think of this, the program wrote as an F sharp. I would actually think of this as a G flat. So I land on G and bend it down to G flat, and then sort of hang out in that nebulous region between G and G flat, and then come back to the 5, which is a little more stable. So I've created a bunch of tension with that flat 5. Resolve back to the 5, which is the second most stable note. And then we go to E. E is the 3 major chord in this key. The note that sticks out in a 3 major chord is the 3 of that chord, the 3 of the 3 chord. And that's going to be a G sharp. A G sharp is not in the key of C. So it's a note that kind of sticks out. So I want to make sure I get to that G sharp, or what's written here, A flat. I don't know why the program did that. So I'm sort of doing a bit of a, I'm hitting some of my chord tones. I got the E, I've got the G sharp. I want to make sure I get those, and the B. So all my chord tones are there, but I want to make sure that I'm getting those. So let's hear, we start with some bluesy stuff. The E flat, the B flat, and the G flat. And then we sort of resolve back in the E of releasing that tension and hitting all the major chord tones. Okay, so that's where that one goes. Let's go to the next one and see what this is. So I did a thing coming out of that. Let's look at that last one again real quick. I did a thing here at the end where you'll see I'm coming out. The last 4 notes are B, D, F, E. Okay, and I actually played that F. I played it a little on the sharp side, and that was on purpose, because I'd actually originally written that as an F sharp, and it was a little more tense than I wanted it to be, so I sort of split the difference. All you classical guys are going to be like, oh my God, he's playing out of tune on purpose. Yes, and we'll get to that. So because it's, well, I'll just say it now. It's all really about tension and release. And so certain notes, mostly the odd numbered notes, 3, 5, 7, there is a the flat 3, the flat 5, and the flat 7 are bluesy notes. So those are in the, it's maybe not in the major scale, but it's in the blues scale, so those are legal notes to play. The F sharp in here, I'm actually bracketing what's coming next. We're going to an F chord next. So I want F sharp, E, and then the next note is F. So I'm bracketing the note that's coming. So F sharp, E natural, and then F. So I play that F sharp a little bit on the flat side, and I actually on the transcription I changed it to an F because it's probably closer to an F. The way that I actually the take that I kept, it was a little closer to an F. It just felt right. So let's go to this next one. All right, so I bracket coming into the F. And then I just do an extended F arpeggio coming up. So 1, 3, 5, major 7, 9, and then sort of walk up and around headed to G, where I'm playing a G arpeggio down with a couple of different notes in there. I threw in an E and an A just to push it a little out. I didn't want it to be quite as square as maybe a straight arpeggio would make it. And then when I get to the C and the E, okay, let's look at what is the common tone between C and E. It's E. If we look at this at the C triad and the E triad, the common tone is an E. So I can actually use that as a basis for where to go with those. But I wanted to do the E flat in the C chord and then the E natural in the E, so that gives me some direction. So if I do E flat, E, that gives me a direction up. And then the C and the B natural give me direction down. Bum, bum, so bum, bum, bum. So it's contrary motion with myself. Okay, so I've got E flat C and then E B. So that's where that came from. Let's listen to that. Okay, so next one. So where we're coming out of that, I was on a low B, so I'm going to sort of stay in that area. Well, let's see. We've got an F chord and a G chord coming one after the other, the 4 chord and the 5 chord. Okay, a super common device in soloing is to use what's called triad pairs. Triads are super stable, so you can honestly use just about any triad over just about any chord. That's how stable triads are. But this device, triad pairs, what I do is I'm playing the 3-5-1 of F, then the 3-5-1 of G, and then I walk up. I do the 5-1-3 of F and 5-1-3 of G. So you see those two triad pairs. There's outline an F triad and a G triad, both over F. And then when it goes to G, I outline an F triad and a G triad again, and then turn it to get out and head to the C. Okay? Then over C, because I'm using those triad pairs and those are super stable, well, we got to get some tension back into this thing. So where do I get tension? I'm not playing da 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 da. So that's a little more classical than what I do. I'm doing some bending here. This is going to be more of a rock thing. Imagine a guitar player sort of bending those strings, okay? So I'm going to land on the 9, which I really like. I really like 9s. They're in the scale but not in the chord. So then I'm going to bend that thing down to maybe not all the way down to C, but maybe a little past C sharp. So those two notes, the C natural is going to be the most stable note, not only in that chord, but in the whole song. It's the root key of the song. But C sharp is the most dissonant note in not only this key, but also, or chord, but also the key, the whole song. So I'm going to sort of skirt in. I've got a 9 that's sort of stable, a 1 that is really stable, and then a flat 9, which is really unstable. I'm creating tension by sort of grinding in there, right? And then I come out chromatically, which through the flat 3 of the C chord to get to E. So we got a bunch of tension in that C measure. Let's go to the most stable possible thing we can play, the root of the next chord and the 5. So the root of E and the 5 of E. So we've got triad pairs going to some super unstable bending, and then to this real stable resolution in E. Yeah, let's listen to that. Okay, so now the next one. This one you can see the direction. I'm sort of coming up. Where am I going to go? I was coming out. Boom, ba. So I'm going to jump in this F chord. I've got a root. I'm using the major 7 and then a root again. Because one of the things I like about using distortion is when I'm playing minor seconds, or this is actually a large minor second. Again, I'm sort of in that nebulous region between E and E flat, doing that on purpose to get a large minor second. I'm actually, when I do da-da-da, I'm sort of playing those two notes together. It's almost like a bit of a double stop. I love that grind that you get with distortion. Do da-da-da. And then, so then I come down in more or less an F arpeggio, to get to the measure where we're in G. So you'll see the trajectory of this is headed down. The trajectory is headed down because we're about halfway through, more than halfway through the solo. I know to finish this thing out, I want to climb out. So I want to give myself a place to climb out of, so I'm coming down low, okay? On the G measure there, I'm actually doing a walk down. I'm doing 2 walk downs at the same time, actually. I'm starting on the G, the root, ba, 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 ba. You can see that, G, F, E, D. And I'm doing a walk down starting on the on C, bum, 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 bum. So, ba, bum. The way I could do it is just alternating, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, bum. And I just flip the second one around. Going to the root of C. I've got 3 measures of C coming. I've got a C over D, and a C over E. So I want to land on that C and let them know here's where we're headed. Sort of staying on the C triad coming out of there. And then I go to the D about a beat early to sort of anticipate that. And sort of triad my way out. So let's listen to this. Okay, so that's where that. Now let's get to the ending. How are we going to end this thing? Well, there's one surprise chord in this whole thing. We've got D, C, C over D, C over E. That's sort of a bass walk up. So C, D, E, F, pointing toward G, right? The 5, the dominant? Nope. Going to the 6 minor. Boom, 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 boom. That's a surprise. Well, the surprise is where I want my biggest impact to be. I want the payoff of the solo to be in that surprise measure. So I'm sort of doing a C arpeggio coming up, doing a couple things in the F chord, right in the chord, and then I want to land hard on that A minor. So doing the 5 and 3 of A minor, coming back down to the 3 of the G chord, and then sort of a C major 7 arpeggio coming down. I want to let you guys all the way off the hook. We want that major 7 in there to give a little more surprising tension. I've been playing a lot of bluesy stuff, so let's throw a C major 7 in to land on this hard open F power chord at the end, okay? So you may have even heard that I actually sort of delayed where I'm coming into that A minor. You did a little grind in it. Again, just sort of want to emphasize that measure is the payoff. It's the highest note, ground into it. It's a surprise chord. That's the rationale behind that. All right, so back to the top. Let's listen to this whole thing again, maybe with some of these thought processes in mind. And thank you for listening. Thanks, Vera, for asking me to be on the tune.